Welcome to Megabucks Radio. Conversations with successful entrepreneurs, sharing their tips and strategies for success. Real-world ideas that can put megabucks in your bank account. Here's your host, Nina Hershberger.
Hello there and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Nina Hershberger, and today my guest is Kevin Donlin. Kevin is hailing from Minneapolis. We're recording this right during the pandemic, and he tells me there's no snow there, but he's got a lot of ideas for those small business owners that are really hurting right now. And that's the whole purpose I'm doing this for. Let me give you just a little background on Kevin. He's been online since 1994. In fact, I'm going to want him to tell a little bit of the story right now. He did his own thing, and then he went to FedEx through a company he was working with. So, Kevin, let's go back in time. It's 1994. Tell me, how did you get into the online business?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me today, Nat. I'm really excited to exchange ideas. I think I've got 7 ideas to share, and between you and me, we'll probably turn them into 14. So I'm very excited to get going. So, I was standing in a bookstore in Tokyo where I worked. It was May of 1994, and I read a PC magazine talking about this thing called the Internet, and it was this thing, and it was worldwide. And I go, well, I got to get back to America and get myself a computer. So I, finished my job where I was working in Tokyo, repatriated to the States, got online in the summer of 94, learned about Usenet, which was a series of bulletin boards where you could post, questions. It was sort of like Craigslist. And I will give you the Reader's Digest version. I decided to give away, articles, and then at the end offer, to learn more, send an email to me. And my email address, I believe, was kmd@netcom.ix.com. It was Netcom was my internet service provider. So I gave you an article, send me it was about how to find a job on the internet. So if you sent me an email, I sent you a sales letter by email. And I think I retailed it for all of $10. I was just an idiot. I had no back end, no upsell. I was just trying to see if I could make, beer money. And I sold several $100s worth of a free report. I guess you'd call it an ebook now, but it was a text file. And I simply collected information on how to find a job on the internet. And I sent it to people, got no refunds. You had to pay by check, however, because it was 1994. There was no PayPal. There was no authorized.net. You sent me a check, and I didn't even wait for the check to clear. I was trusting. And you had to write your email address on the memo line. So whatever email address they wrote, I emailed them the report the same day, the ebook rather. And that was e-commerce, and it was like about November of 1994. And then I was hired by a Marcom agency here in Minneapolis. Our client FedEx had this thing called a website. They needed help with it. So I was their webmaster, a content webmaster from 1995 to 1998. And I started out answering 5 emails a day from customers. We ended up at the end answering over 1,000 a day. I had 2 people working full-time under me, just managing the customer service emails for FedEx. So I just was learning. I liken it to being a mechanic to the Wright brothers, because my client at FedEx, his name was Robert Hamilton. He was a true visionary. He put their website online. FedEx was featured, they were a media darling in 1995, 1996. They were the only ones with a really useful website. And actually, before there was Yahoo, there were these things called like Alta Vista was the search engine. There was actually an Internet Yellow Pages for several years. I don't know if you remember that, but there were so few websites that they printed the website addresses in a book. And you could buy it in computer stores back when there were computer stores. And so, FedEx was listed in the Internet Yellow Pages. I wish I didn't throw all those out. I had a closet full of them. But they're just, really weird artifacts of a time long gone. But, yeah, so I've been selling things online since 1994, copywriting in one form or another since 1994. Just love it. I'm fortunate enough to get paid to do it. And I'm happy to share, any good ideas I can come up with today with you and your listeners.
Oh, that sounds great. So let's get right into that. So I know you said you have 7. So what's number 1?
Well, number 1 is simple. Well, a lot of this is simple, but it's not being done. Over-communicate with a relevant message to your prospects, your clients, and the world. This should be a no-brainer, but it's really not. How many weeks are we into this crisis now? And it seems like it's like 2 or 3 here in America. Maybe it's 4.
Yep.
I'm seeing, and you are too, offer after offer after offer, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, or my email inbox. It's just stale. It could have been written 6 months ago. People are saying that there are a lot of businesses, too many, saying nothing at all about the current crisis. They're just continuing to run the same old ads. You look tone deaf when you do this and utterly incompetent. I can't trust you now when things are awful. Why would I give you more money later when things get better? So just be relevant with your message. Don't make predictions like IT bills, because nobody knows how this is going to end, but do give information that you know is going to be true today, tomorrow, and next week. So I guess with your communication strategy, use the Hippocratic oath, which is first do no harm. Just be giving people information they could use to help themselves today. Now, in my business, I'm posting about 3 times a day on LinkedIn, for example. I'm doing nothing. I'm selling nothing overtly. I'm giving encouragement to people. I'm sharing health tips, for example. It has nothing to do with marketing. But I'm watching what gets interacted with, what people share and like, and what they ignore. And so this is kind of a living laboratory because, the whole apple cart's been upset. We don't know what people are thinking. We do know that they're scared. We do know that people want encouragement and reassurance. And so I'm posting a variety of things on LinkedIn, and I'm just seeing what's getting the most interaction. And those are going to be future newsletter articles, for example, of the stuff that I know people like. And I just turned one post from last week into a Facebook ad. I had my designer put together a really cool, very visible graphic to illustrate a breathing exercise. It's called box breathing. And the Navy SEALs have used it for years and other top performers. Turns out it calms you pretty much instantly. And so I was, I called it, I think the headline I used was Coronavirus Self-Care for Entrepreneurs. I got the most interaction of anything by far that I posted on LinkedIn. So I turned into a Facebook ad. It's got over 30 odd shares in just a few days. I'm paying very, very little per click. It's getting interacted with, shared around. I'm building an audience that I can go back to later. So, and it's because I'm being very relevant. And I'm not saying, click here to learn more, click here to schedule a free consultation. My call to action at the end of that was, my best to you and yours. It's like a Christmas card, for example. So I'm being relevant. I'm communicating very often on LinkedIn, and I'm sending emails almost every day to my list that are just encouraging people. So number one is to just be relevant and just be out there. Don't hide under a rock. So I've seen some people, they've just gone missing, and they're just showing up now, again, 2-3 weeks into this with something relevant. They've been flat-footed for weeks, and there's just that's just not going to help you. So that's number one.
I just interviewed a guy who has a carpet cleaning business the other day, and what he's sending out to his list and to his is ideas for fun things to do with your kids at home. Mm-hmm. Little things, totally different. Nothing about carpet cleaning, and of course, no offer, no sales pitch, no anything. Just give value to that. So that's a great idea. I'm interested. Are you finding more traction in LinkedIn? Is that why you seem to be talking about LinkedIn versus Facebook?
I've always preferred LinkedIn myself. I'm a simple person. I don't go into complexity. I know a lot of people preach complexity. You certainly should have a complex back end and sophisticated marketing systems. But I've got people who run Facebook ads for me off and on, but it's just not a place where my prospects are much of the time. For me, LinkedIn is just more relevant to my prospects who are entrepreneurs of businesses, typically doing $1 million or more in revenue. Not a lot of those people are spending a lot of time on Facebook. That's just my personal preference. But by all means, if you've got a robust Facebook presence, go there. Wherever you're good on social media, Instagram, where I'm not, play where you're good. And that's where you can be over-communicating, and that's where you can be relevant.
Well, and play where you're good, but also play where your prospects are, I suppose, too.
Bingo. Yeah. You fish where the fish are, right? So, that's in my fish on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right, let's go to number 2.
So number 2, you've heard this before, it was kind of a nice phrase for years, retention is the new acquisition. Well, absolutely now, more than ever, retention is the new acquisition. It may be the only acquisition. So really do whatever you can to retain the clients or customers you have now. Because when you lose one, boy, you're going to have to work, to get 1 or 2 more to replace them. So there's a great book by a guy by the name of Brian Kurtz, and it's kind of my strategy for retention. His book's called Over Deliver. And so that's my strategy. It's my motto. If I have any free time, If I'm sitting eating a sandwich or walking my dog, I'm just thinking, how can I over-deliver? How can I over-deliver to my current clients and the prospects who may one day become clients? So very simple example. I'm asking all my copywriting clients, and I have for over a week, how can I help you? This is a very simple email. How can I help you? What are you working on? What's bugging you? How can I help you? And I had one client of mine. She owns 3 dry cleaners near Boston. And I'm working on a completely different project. But I said, separately to all that, how can I help you? She needed an email to send her customers to reassure them that her doors were open and that everything was okay. And so I said, fine, I'll write you the email. And her English is not terribly good. She's not a writer, and that's not a sin. It's just a fact. And so I said, I'll write it for you. I did it overnight. I did it really fast. And I did it for free. And I just wrote a little message to her subscribers, her members. And I said, have you ever told them that you're a mother? When you've got 2 kids, this goes back to Vance Morris, who was, giving tips to people who've got kids at home. And she said, no, I've never said that. I said, well, we're going to say it in this email. So my email was like, as a mother, I know you're probably going through a lot at home. You may be trying to telecommute. You may have the kids at home. And I just was reassuring them that we're open, we're safe, we're sanitary, we can pick up and deliver. You never have to leave your home. And she sent me, and so this was a few days ago, she sent the email. And actually this morning, before our call, just a couple hours ago, she sent me an email. I'll summarize her comment. She said, quote, the results are very good. The open rate, 33%, and only a very few, actually the fewest so far, unsubscribed. And that was because of customers moving. She said, I got a very good response in 2 cities, 7 to 8 requests for delivery on the next day after they got this email. So she was very happy with that. And now, do you think she might be inclined to stick with me and not cancel the project I'm working on now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she might be inclined to hire me again when this is all over? I just generated a bunch of revenue above and beyond what she ever expected from me. And I haven't really delivered the other parts of the project that she hired me for. So that's an easy example. Just if I ask, and you can't know unless you ask, how can I help you? She told me, I helped her, and now she's really, really happy. So that's something that anybody can do this minute today, after you finish this podcast.
Well, the thing that brings to mind there is she has a list.
Mm-hmm.
The saddest part is when I see business owners who don't have a list. Let me give you an example.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We live in a community. It's a 55 and older community, a Del Webb community. Last Saturday, there was a catering company. There's a park. There's about half a mile from our community. The catering company brought a truck, brought a grill, and had 500 meals that they actually cooked right there that we all came, stayed in our car. They came and delivered the meals to us. But you know what? Never once did they ask for our email. Never once did they ask for nothing. No list.
Yeah.
No list. So, just the fact that, is it because of you that she has a list?
No, she already had a list, a good-sized list, and she's getting more sales, I know for a fact, than she sent me. Because you're always going to get just a quick email rule of thumb. You'll get about 50% of your open rate in the first hour. And about, so whatever you get in hour 1 is going to be your total open rate over the length of and that can go back and forth. That's a rule of thumb. And 2, if you get 7 to 8 orders the next day, you're probably getting another 7 to 8, between 4 and 8 over the next coming week or so. So the results will keep coming in for her. But she built that list. Yeah, it's a shame, that the caterer, gosh, you just feel for. I know for a fact that there's a very new restaurant near my house that's probably going to just shutter. Because they had a bad location, bad signage out front. They just assumed people would find them. It's just the classic build it and they will come. It's a great restaurant. They have the best service, really good food. But those poor souls, I can tell you, they are not out, list building. They're not doing joint ventures. They're just probably shuttered, and they'll never open again. And so, yeah, you got to be list building. Anything that you can do. Now you have to play within the rules. So, people are really wary of even handling paper because the virus can live on paper apparently for 3, 4, 5 days. And so if you go up to every car and knock on the window and say, can we want to sign our guest book, it may not fly. But they certainly could have did they give you bags or something
Well, it was not a napkin or something, but yes, it was like, in a case that was a carry-out thing. They could have put something on the top of it.
Exactly. Little stickers that said, to learn about bingo. Yep. Visit our website or Twitter or Instagram. We'll tell you when we're coming back. Would you like to know when you can get another meal? Who wouldn't say yes to that? So you can, follow us on Instagram, or even better, text, meet to 9567, and then bam, they've got you. So a text offer on the bag, or visit our that would have been best, because you'd get text offers like that. You'd get like 90% of the people. So yeah, they missed the boat. I hope they're listening to your podcast. Actually, they came back a second time then, not to the park, but they came to another location, and I happened to know their parents, and I said, look, I'm a business coach. This is free, doesn't cost you anything. I'm just, whether they do it or not, it's up to them, but let me give you two ideas. One is, just like with McDonald's, so when we go and they bring our meal, would you, today we've got breadsticks for $3. Would you like us to add that to your order? So now that's an upsell. Sure.
And then I called it a bounce back. So put something on top of the carryout case that says, like you said, text this to this number and we'll send you a coupon for whatever. Nothing. Yeah. They didn't do anything.
Yeah, so that's another podcast. That's remedial marketing, I suppose, is what's needed. But real quick to that idea, back to retaining clients. On Monday, I'm going to be sending out personal gifts to all my top clients. I've got my VA already working on that, my virtual assistant. So personal gifts to all my clients, something related to their college they went to, their favorite sports team. I've got all that data in my database. But that's another way I'm going to be retaining.
So how many are you going to be sending out?
About 3, 4, 5. These are my high-level retention retainer clients. Yeah, it's not 50. But you better believe, I know what they've received before. I know what they like. I've got one client, I sent him Omaha steaks once, and he politely said, I'm a vegan. But my daughter liked it, so I said, okay, no more steaks for you. So he's going to get something different. But I know where all these people went to college, and that's an easy one. Anyone who's on LinkedIn, they're going to have their school, whether it's high school, college, or they're going to have some sort of an interest. And so I know where everybody went to college, and they get mugs, they get coasters, they get stuff from their college, and everyone just loves that sort of stuff. It's not hard to do. If it's personal, you've made the value like 5-10 times higher. So, a coffee mug from Michigan State University, where I went, that to me is worth like $100, and it could cost you 10. But like a nice coffee mug that says, world's greatest boss, that's worth $10 to me, because it's not.
So this is a side tip, because this wasn't one of your 7, but it's a great tip. So
it's related to retention. Yeah, I guess it's 2B. 2A was over deliver. 2B is give personal gifts. So yeah, you're right.
So in other words, identify your top X number, whatever that is. You've identified 3 to 5.
I know who matters.
Yeah, you know who matters. So whatever that number is, I always say identify your top ones, but also identify the top ones you'd like to have.
Exactly.
So they can, and I don't know if this is a woman thing or what. If you sent me a mug from my university, I wouldn't like that. But I'm sitting here hanging on to some charms that say, believe, protected, miracle. So right now, those kind of things could be really cool to send to somebody.
Sure.
On a keychain. So it could be a man or a woman and stuff. But yeah, no, it's terrific. So what's number 3?
So number 3, it's really just offer value first and foremost. Create value. As entrepreneurs, we only get paid when we create value for others. If we don't create value in the marketplace, we go out of business and we have to take a job working at Home Depot or wherever. So, offer value, create value first. This is kind of, in the old days, and it's still relevant, but we would talk about educational marketing. Tell people how to make an intelligent buying decision. Give them information. Chet Holmes is really good at this with his book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. If you can set the buying criteria by showing people what to look for, how to be smart consumers, you'll probably get them. I'm going to say that in this time, maybe we want to emphasize encouraging marketing instead of educational marketing. Just be encouraging to people, because again, I'm using LinkedIn as a reference because I'm there all the time. I'm seeing people, like when the jobs report came out yesterday, 3 million jobless claims. One guy posted, "Get ready for the S storm is going to hit. The S is hitting the fan, and OMG, this is awful. This is the worst ever." I don't want to see that. For crying out loud, I don't want to see this Chicken Little stuff. Yeah, it's bad. I don't need to be told. And don't be political. Someone on Facebook was sharing, this message from a doctor in the ER, and it was, as bad as you would think it is. And at the very end, it said, "And if you voted for Trump, who's, helping to kill us all, I hate you with every fiber of my being." And you don't have to like Trump, but I don't need to be hearing hatred from a doctor. I just lose a little respect for doctors because of you, even though that's not the case. So it's just, don't be emotional, don't be political, don't be a doomsayer. Just encourage people, for crying out loud, and resist the urge to sell overtly or put strings on your freebies. I'm just giving away stuff. I'm giving away health postings, tips on, relaxation, stress reduction, and I'm also giving out success stories like I'm doing here with you. The same stuff that, we're talking about, I've written about several of these. So that's why I can talk and talk and talk. And so I'm just giving people examples of stuff that's working. Well, by doing that, I'm giving them hope. And they're going to want to listen to me right now, because who wants to listen to another talking head, with doomsaying stuff? That's just, don't do it. So I saw one guy, he made an offer to his email list. I'm on it. And it was this fabulous resource worth like $20,000, and it's free. Made a big point out of it. I'm giving it to you. And all you have to do to get it is to go here and schedule a client consultation or whatever. It's a sales pitch. Everyone and their dog knows that's a sales pitch, for crying out loud. So, immediately I just go, "You nitwit, you muppet." And so I lost respect for this guy. And, no, there is a catch. I've got to get on the phone with one of your sales guys. If you're going to do that, give away the $20,000 resource first, for example, because that would be extraordinary. And right now we're in the middle of extraordinary times. So it's perfectly valid, and it's going to get attention. It's going to get passed around. And then at the end, you can have a soft offer. If you like that, we'd like to help make this relevant for you. We'll answer your questions. There's no sales pitch. There's no obligation. It's just a friendly conversation, because everything's changed right now. We want to help you make sense of this. Right? I just wrote the call to action there, and you can write an even better one, I'm sure, because I know what a good copywriter you are. So the point is, if you're going to give value, don't put any strings on it at all. It's just really stupid. You look like a jackass. I know I'm getting my danders up a bit, my hackles. It just ticks me off that people just want to put strings on stuff. So I have a client, Steve Adams. He's CEO of Tiger Neuroscience. And he's a really busy guy, but he's posting fantastic blog posts about, relaxation and stress reduction, because if you're stressed out, it's going to hurt your immune system. And if your immunity is damaged, if your immunity is compromised, you are more likely to get sick. That's the last thing you want to do right now. So Steve is really helping a lot of people out with some really good resources. Full disclosure, I'm an investor in this company, but I have to say that, Steve's doing a great job. And so there are no strings. At the end, it says, if you'd like to talk to one of our team members, and it's not a sales call, just if you want questions or answers, we're making them available to you. That's the way to do it. Give that value first, and if they like it, then, make a soft offer. That's my recommendation. That's what I'm seeing, is just, it's not going to piss people off, because you don't want to do that.
Well, right now, before this call, I had another call with one of my top clients, and I do a printed newsletter for them on a quarterly basis. I do all the design, all the writing, all the everything. And they said, right now what we'd like to do, and it's an 8-pager. Right now we'd like to increase that by 2 and 4 pages. How much would that cost? And I said, nothing more. It's my gift, not only to you,
Bingo.
But it's to those small business owners who I really want to, I'm not into making more money at this moment. It's giving back. It's giving that value like you're talking about. So it'll come back around. It'll come back around. We know it will. Yeah. I'm
going to just diverge for a quick second here. The pharmaceutical company Merck, MERCK, they are famous for giving away their drugs. They gave away a drug that cured millions of people of something called river blindness, which is a horrific disease. And I believe they also gave stuff away in the 50s as well. River blindness drug was given away, I think, in the 90s. So the point is, this is a multi-billion-dollar company who gives away. They didn't say call for a free consultation and then we'll cure your river blindness, for crying out loud. They gave the drug away, and it came back to them. And Merck is like one of the only pharmaceutical companies that you could reasonably say is beloved, or at least admired, because that's, part of their corporate strategy is to just give value where it's needed, and the money will come. So yeah, I'm echoing what you said. And so if I could just commandeer your interview for a minute, Nina, I wanted to tell you that you just anticipated tip number 4 when you just said the 2 pages are free, because tip number 4 is offer more value than you ever have before. And that's what you did. That's it. So some ways to do this. It's not hard. Expand yes, you're going to have to work harder, by the way, but you know what? You're probably not sleeping so much anyway. And it beats, every hour you work and don't watch CNN or Fox, it's going to add to your lifespan, trust me. So offer more value than you ever have before. Examples of doing this: expand your hours, relax your cancellation policy. I have a client, they're called the Texas Baseball Ranch, Ron and Jill Woolforth. They're, world famous. They have the very best pitching, coaching, place on earth. And they've relaxed their cancellation policies because some parents may just have to cancel in good conscience. They don't want to fly their kids to Texas. So, working together, we came up with a relaxation on the policy. You can just reschedule for later, no fees, right? So that's another thing you can do, is eliminate unnecessary fees. I know Delta, I believe, and all the airlines are letting you cancel without the penalties. You can't get your money back, but you have a credit for a year. So eliminate unnecessary fees, expand your hours. And a big one that anyone can do, be flexible on pricing. Do not lower your prices, but yes, consider payment terms. And my last 2 clients that I got on the last 10 days, both were really hesitant for my fees. So I said, all right, and this is sales 101, anytime anyone says, ooh, I can't afford that, I said, well, if price wasn't an object, would you go with this? Would this make sense? And he said, of course, I really want this. I said, well, let's make it affordable. So you can't afford X. Well, what if we broke it down into 3 monthly installments of Y, 30, 60, 90 days apart, make it easy on your budget? Would that work for you? Both of them said yes. So I didn't lower my price. I simply gave them installments. And
nice.
That's what you got to think about doing. Anyone can do this. There's no one who can't. So the temptation is to have a sale, 70% off. No, because you've trained people to expect low prices from you.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Just be flexible on your terms.
And I'd much rather, just like with this newsletter, I'd much rather give it than give a discount.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'd rather, because, that is a gift as opposed to I'm cutting my prices.
Exactly.
So what's your next tip?
So I got 3 more. Number 5 is be available. This is related to expand your hours, but it's a bit more in depth. I have a client, Dr. John Meese. He's founder of the Team Training Institute. He trains dentists on how to build better practices. And as everyone knows, nearly every dentist office in America is closed right now to anything but emergency procedures. And you can see this on Facebook. I saw an actual message. People are calling their dental offices, and the message on the machine starts with, "We're closed." And they hang up because people want a root canal, today. They're in agony. And the message is, "We're closed." Well, if they had listened longer, it might have said, "But if you have an emergency, you can dial the dentist," where people are hanging up before they get to that part. So when I mean be available, I'm talking to my clients on Saturdays and Sundays for the duration of this thing, and consider being available to them. But make it very clear to people who are calling in a panic, who are worried, in pain, they need help right away. Make sure your message tells them at the very beginning that you are available for them. So these dentists were scaring everybody away because their message in the first 5 seconds was, "We're closed right now," even though they would have accepted you for emergency treatment. So Dr. Meese is training his members to change their voicemail greeting to, "If this is an emergency, here's the phone number of the dentist. Call his cell phone right now. Dr. Smith is at blah, 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 blah. And then it would go on to, now, if this is not an emergency, please know that, we're closed except for emergency procedures. We expect to open in 3 weeks. We hope we do, but blah, blah, blah. So the important stuff was out front. It was available for the people who needed it. And this resulted in, from just one doctor that we know of, he did 15 emergency patients in 2 days after his office was closed. Now, other doctors were not getting those 15 patients, and that's a full schedule. For anyone who knows dentistry, 15 procedures in 2 days. So it's because he was available, and in fact, his team was answering their phones. This is related to that. It wasn't just a good voicemail message, but during the day, his teams were answering the phones. So answer your phone.
So that could be another tip.
I suppose it could be.
Right now. Yeah.
Myself, I don't answer my phones. That's just the way I roll. And I haven't answered my phone since 1997. Even my fiance can't reach me unless she comes at me from like 3 directions. But it's worth considering. If your business is such that you can do rush jobs, consider answering your phones, or just make sure your phones are answered if at all humanly possible. Don't let it roll to voicemail. And if it does roll to voicemail, make sure, for the love of mud, that your message is relevant to the people who need it right now. So just review your voicemail messages, but answer your phone if you can. And it's all about being available to people.
Well, that's a great tip. In fact, if that dentist still had some of their employees and they hadn't had to lay them off temporarily, I mean, what is that person doing at home? They could be answering live. Hi, this is Sue.
Right.
Thanks for calling.
Exactly.
What can we do for you today, or something, instead of saying we're closed? No, great idea.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Next tip.
All right, a couple more to go. Number 6 is simply adapt, and this is a golden opportunity for all of us. This is an interview in itself, because adapt. Who are you? Just reassess and adapt. Who are your clients? What are you selling? Where are you selling it? What are your prices? Review everything. But in this narrow sense, adapt means simply change your promotions, change your service offerings to work in today's environment. So you were talking earlier about the carpet cleaner. He's a friend of mine. His name is Vance Morris. And he told me, I don't know if he said anything in detail on your podcast, but he sent out an email. This is probably 2 weeks ago now, that the subject line was free toilet paper. And that was very relevant when the first wave of panic buying of toilet paper was going on. And he made it was a brilliant offer. He said, free roll of toilet paper with your next carpet cleaning job, and we'll do a 19% discount in honor of COVID-19. And he said he got 3 jobs the next day, which was, pretty lucrative. And I'm sure he got another 2 or 3 in the coming days. You're always going to get more after your first day. So that was an example of him adapting. He'd never had a free toilet paper offer. No one on earth has ever done that, probably. But he did. The other one was a really clever one. And this was sent to me by Darcy Juarez, another one of my clients. She saw on Facebook that there's a photographer. This is just so smart. So photographers, you got a photography studio, guess what? You're out of business for now. So she came up with something. She calls it porch portraits. She'll come to your house, stand out in front of your porch, never get closer than 6 feet to you, and take a picture of you and your loved ones on your porch during the lockdown. And it was being, passed all over Facebook, super clever. And it was like, this is a memory, you'll never forget, the coronavirus anyway. Why not, memorialize it, have it on as a picture. So porch portraits, I just thought that was brilliant. And that's an example of adapting your offer, fishing where the fish are. Everyone's at home. So you got to find a way to get there. And I just love the idea of porch portraits.
I think if something comes out of this, one of the best things is to have multiple streams of income. Let's go back to a chiropractor concept. If all that chiropractor does is, adjustments, and didn't have any kind of supplements. I mean, they could have an immune building or boosting supplement package that they could sell online, right? They could be that. I mean, that would be a hot ticket. In fact, I have a very good friend, a good client who has a vitamin shop, and they are selling twice the amount of any of the biggest days that he's ever had. Twice. Come home exhausted because everybody wants all the supplements now. Well, what if he'd had that? What if that's what you ended up transitioning to?
Sure. And that's, real quick, I've got two other stories. You just made me remember them. I have a friend who's a personal trainer. He's always wanted to do more online stuff because when he's coaching people one-on-one, he's trading time for money. Well, guess who's delivering a whole bunch of, Zoom video workouts to his customers, and he's letting them share it. He was also, I don't know if he could still do this. He's near Waco, Texas, but I was telling him that he should have social distancing workouts and have people, spray paint little circles in the park, have a boot camp out there, 6-foot circles. You stay in your circle the whole time and don't go near anybody. I don't think he did anything with that because things are changing so fast. But yeah, go online with your stuff. And darn it, I've just forgotten the other one. Maybe it'll come to me, but, again, adapt your offering and go, this is the other one. It's a tutor. One of my new clients, he's a tutor, and he used to meet people mostly in the home, and just luckily he started transitioning to video about last year or so. Well, guess who's so busy that he has to hire tutors? He's never had to hire staff. He's hiring people left and right, and his clients are wealthy people in Silicon Valley. They can afford this, and I'm writing postcards that are going out. And I'm working from memory here, but the headline is how to educate your children at home without losing your sanity. And it was really easy. I'm a parent, and I've got teenage daughters here, and I know what insanity is, believe me. And I found a news story in the Financial Times, and there was a little pull quote that said, parents are losing their minds. And so I made that a prominent, sub-headline on the postcard. And we're just starting to mail it next week, actually. But I already revised his website with a similar message, and he's just never been so busy. He can't keep up with the demand because he's a video tutor. Yeah, he's a video tutor.
Well, what if you were a teacher? My son-in-law is an English teacher. What a great, I'll work with your student right now.
Yeah, tell him that there's a booming market online. People are clamoring to do the video conferencing. You can do it as a Zoom video or what have you, GoToWebinar. But yeah, if you can deliver it by video, now's the time. And so this guy is going to have a very strong business. He's very, very good at what he does. He'll often tutor like 2 generations. Not 2 generations, 2 or 3 different siblings within a family for like 10 years. He's so good. So all these people he's getting now, he's going to keep, and his business is going to be strong for years to come. So he's adapting. So adapt is number 6.
Does he think that there's going to be more homeschooling coming out of this?
I would say that, I can't predict. I don't know. There is a need right now for kids to be educated at home because all the schooling is going to transition to distance learning because no one's going back to school this year. Sorry, not going to happen. Yeah. And whether it's, what he does is tutor people so that he tutors kids to help them do their regular homework. So above and beyond what they're getting from their class, which is often going to be garbage, to be honest. I'm a former teacher, and they're just caught flat-footed. They've been given just a couple weeks to start teaching entirely online. The quality's not going to be great. So there's going to be a booming market for tutors to fill in, the quality gap. And my client is just perfectly positioned.
Well, and the beauty about it is it doesn't matter where they live. It could be anywhere in the world. That's great. Well, my son actually works for a heating and air conditioning controller company. So they manufacture things for the heating and air conditioning industry, and they're also a distributor of different things. Well, 5 years ago, he started working there as a videographer, taking videos and stuff, and he has parlayed that into an entire online training, digital delivery kind of thing. He's got this $25,000 studio now and stuff. Last night, so they're in the midst of their training. So last night, one of the companies they partner with to do training to these heating and air conditioning company guys is losing $500,000 a month because their model was to have all these heating and air conditioning guys fly in for their in-person training that they can't do right now. So that trainer from that company came to where my son works, and they delivered the training virtually online to 260 people last night. Wow. The most they'd ever had. And it was a 2-hour. It was free. So you would think free they would have bailed. They didn't. And of the 260 people, they even had 170 questions. So there was engagement even. And so here's the message, I think, personally, out of this whole thing. There are things going to be birthed and created that will literally explode and change entrepreneurs' lives if they become, if they focus on it, just like your tutor friend. I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. No, there's a lot. If you can just get through this, and we're giving the ideas now. I mean, I just came up with another one. I'm going to give you 8. So I'll give you number 7 and then number 8. Okay. Number 7, I just got it looking at my notes. Number 7 is gift certificates. Sell future products, future services. You can't deliver it now. Sell people gift certificates. I'll say $100 worth of stuff for $75. Or, you come up with the offer. But if people can't buy from you now because it can't be physically delivered, give them a gift certificate or sell it at a discount in the future. You'll get cash flow coming in. Perfect example of this, I'm a customer of a company called the Ready Store. They sell really good, really reasonably priced freeze-dried food. I'm an amateur prepper. Have been for years. And I was... some of my food had been damaged in a flood, so I didn't replace it like a dummy. And so I needed some like 3 weeks ago, and I bought, X $100 worth of stuff. It's not going to get to me for like a month or two. But you know what? I would have paid for it even knowing it wasn't going to come right away because I just needed the stuff. And they actually had a sale on some stuff. So they did this without knowing. They discounted. They didn't tell me till I had shopped, until I had checked out, which kind of ticked me off. But, I'm back order on this after I had clicked the buy button. Not thrilled with that. However, I did get a really good price on stuff. They could have doubled or tripled the price. They did. So the lesson here is, sell future goods or services at a discount now so that you get cash flow now and you can survive until you can actually deliver that stuff. So come up with some sort of a discount or some sort of a scheme to sell stuff in the future at a discount. Call it a gift card, a voucher, whatever. But that's number 7 that I just thought of.
Well, and gift cards are really good because there's what's called breakage.
Exactly.
So let's say you sell $500 worth of gift cards. Well, maybe only $200 gets even actually redeemed. So not only do you get the cash now, it could be worth even more. So good. Okay, so you got one more for us, huh?
One more, and I hope I haven't overshot our time frame.
No, we're good. We're good.
Number 8 is never forget you can't run your business from the hospital. Right? Translated, this means take care of you, prioritize your health. Because I'm seeing people who are suffering, and it's totally unnecessary. They're depressed. They're just locked up in their office without getting outdoors. You need to do as much exercise as you can. Sleep is critical. It's never been more important. I'm getting 6-7 hours of sleep. I'm actually sleeping better the last week than I have in years, and I've never been under more stress. It's because I'm prioritizing my sleep. I'm actually doing all those things that we were told, right? I don't look at my cell phone for the last hour before I go to bed. We've all been told that. How many of us are actually freaking doing it? I am. And I can tell you, just last night I slept 6 hours in a row. This happened like once in the last year. And it happened 2 days ago, which was the other time I did it. And so sleep. When you wake up after 6, 7, 8 hours of good sleep, you're a completely different person. So prioritize your sleep, your meditation, your breathing exercises, your hydration, anything that you can do to take care of you. It's never been more important right now because once your immune system is compromised, we've all been sick getting back from a trip. We went to a coast and we lost hours of sleep and we got home on a red eye and we got sick. You're always going to be exposed to germs in an airplane or in an airport, but you got sick because you just were exhausted and your immune system was compromised. You can't afford that now. It's just sleep, I guess. If I had to boil number 8 down, it's just sleep. And the rest of it can take care of itself. Breathe correctly, belly breathing, meditation, exercise. Just get rid of stress and take care of you. And then the business has a much better chance of doing well. So that's number 8.
Kevin, this was fabulous. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, if they want to check out your services, where should they go?
So they should visit my website. My company is called Client Cloning Systems. I gave it that name because I want to help you get more clients like your best clients. And my website is www.clientcloningsystems.com. That's clientcloningsystems.com. Folks can go there, learn about what I do. And you can request a free client cloning kit, which comes to you by U.S. mail, which you may want to, put in a pot of boiling water to disinfect, fine, but you can also download a digital version of it right away. So request a free client cloning kit, which I think you'll love. It's got some of my very best ideas. It's at clientcloningsystems.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So this is Nina Hershberger. Until next time, remember, now is the time to take massive action. Not tomorrow, not next week. It's now. I'll talk to you another time.
Thank you for listening to Megabucks Radio with Nina Hershberger. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit megabucksradio.com.